Okay, part 2 of the same series. I don't know if it made any sense, but anyway, like I told you, I'm kind of an airhead, or it's hard for me to focus. Gosh, I hope that I get this done before my husband gets home. So I ramble. I have a bad habit of rambling. But my point is, my experiences with Communicare, no offense, have not been beneficial. The sliding scale clinic, the mental health clinic that I went to in Georgia was wonderful. I actually had tears with my counselor, and those being her tears, not mine. When we had to part ways because she moved to a different clinic. She was wonderful. And, you know, it could have just been that I needed help so bad at that particular time, and I had the opportunity, and she was really the only friend I had. That, yeah, I'm giving her more credit than is due, and that maybe Communicare would have been more effective eventually if I'd kept going, but I always stopped going because I was unimpressed with the first visit, so I would leave. And it usually, well, actually, there is one guy that I did like. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but I felt like he was pushing ideas on me. He made it sound like I was neglected in my infanthood, or if infanthood's even a word. And I don't think I was neglected. I mean, how would I know? And that's a terrible thing to think about your parents, that they didn't hold you. He suggested that I wasn't held in a positive way because I had oh my goodness, colic. And he said colicky children oftentimes don't experience positive interaction. And so they don't see smiling faces and positive things like that. So, you know, the great thing about being told that, though, is that I make sure, gosh, it's going to make me cry. I make sure that I smile at my son as much as I can and make sure he sees me. And I hold him almost all the time. And because that therapist told me that, or counselor, whatever you want to call them, because he told me that could cause depression later in life, I make sure I do it with my son, because I do not want him to ever be depressed like his mommy. Because it's so hard. Anyway, on to my point. My point was that I was going to share with you the medications that I've been on. I've been on Paxil. That by far was one of the worst medications I've ever been on. But I was very young, and I sometimes skipped doses and didn't take it like I was supposed to. But I was only on a 10 milligram dose. So you wouldn't think that skipping a dose down again would cause the zaps. That's what I call them. It's like electric zaps or jolts in your brain. And it's just such a strange feeling. And that can happen with my Prestique also. The Prestique I used to take. But that was only if I had gone without for an extended period of time and I was on 100 milligram dose. That's a high dose. So the next medicine I took was Zoloft. And I don't know if it was on this, I think it was Zoloft I was on when I had okay, hang on. It might have been Paxil that I was on when I had my nervous breakdown, but I was in such a bad way, and mind you, I had a lot of anxiety issues back then. But I was also semi-obsessed with religion. But I actually stayed awake for 1 week. I didn't drink caffeine, people. I didn't drink coffee. I did not drink, energy drinks. I didn't even know what a Red Bull was back then. I didn't do anything like that. But I somehow was so paranoid about what was going on around me at the time. I was so uncomfortable with my environment that I was very paranoid and very anxious, and I didn't trust anyone. And I thought everybody was talking about me all the time. So I stayed awake for a week, and I became convinced, and this was exposure, this being convinced. I actually, the only friend that I was exposed to at the time beforehand was, before I kind of went crazy, the only friend that I knew and that I was exposed to in person, like someone that I actually felt like I could trust, was this girl that I worked with, and she was the person that was training me. She had, as she claimed, schizophrenia and had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. And I don't know if she was just messing with my head or what, but I think he's home. Okay, never mind. I don't know who that is. He's not home. Okay, I'm going to stop this again because I've already talked to you for 20 minutes.